Mike, talking Big 12 tournament here. The way that I see it, Houston can do nothing but be a 1 seed, no matter their result in the Big 12 tournament. Iowa State sitting around that 2, that 3 line. Baylor's in a similar position, according to Jerry Palm and Joe Lunardi. When you look at a tournament like this, do you recommend that some teams just outright lose, or do you think everybody should be competing each game in front of them?
Drake, you ask a guy who's from the East Coast here, who saw the New York Giants in the NFL go all out against the New England Patriots on the last game of the regular season at home when the Patriots were undefeated. That didn't hurt them there. In fact, it was the reason that they were so confident in the Super Bowl they could come back and beat them about a month later. I'm going to go all out. Nothing is promised here in March. You can hang a banner, win the Big 12 tournament. I want to hang a banner. Look at all the years that Villanova did well in the Big East tournament, and that led them to greatness under Jay Wright. So maybe it's just my DNA. I am playing to win. I'm playing to win the game, as Herman Edwards said, and I think they should go after it because whether you're getting a seed, whether you're building momentum, whether you're getting exposure for recruits, you want to make yourself a run. Even if you're a team that doesn't make the NCAA tournament but gets to the semifinals, that's something to build on. Let's try to get things going in the right direction. And who knows, maybe you can pull the upset, actually get into the tournament, and then make a run.
Are we overvaluing from a national standpoint the teams that lose out of their conference tournament being better set for March? Because every year around this time we hear, oh, the national champion never wins their conference tournament. Is that all hogwash?
Yeah, I think it's hogwash. I've seen it before with Louisville. I've seen it with Kentucky. Yes, UConn last year did not win the Big East tournament, but that was a battle with Marquette. I was at that game. No, you want to win, and you play and you compete, and then you adjust. And by going all out, you're going to also get to see some weaknesses on your team or maybe something that actually gets exposed. So if they win, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't make me nervous. It doesn't shy me away. If they get eliminated early in an upset, that could concern me a little bit. The only team that I've seen that kind of throws that theory out the window is whenever Syracuse was there with Jim Boeheim, they're on the bubble. Then they end up making a run with the ghost of Malachi Richardson against Virginia to the Final Four. But more often than not, you want to see at least a couple wins in the conference tournament. You get to the semis, you get to the finals, you're fine. But I would not shy away from winning because what's the purpose? If you get to the Elite Eight and lose, you didn't win your conference tournament. Is that better? No, I'd rather lose in the Sweet 16 and win my conference tournament because then you get to hang a banner.
Yeah, we've seen, Mike, a couple of these teams in the last few weeks. You talked about Baylor being inconsistent, didn't finish the regular season as strong as they wanted to. TCU had a home loss to UCF. There were a couple teams, even in Texas Tech, that, in my opinion, need that momentum moving forward. If they lose, their seeding might not be hurt entirely. But look, the inconsistency is still there. Who is it most important for that you win in a conference tournament setting? Is it those teams that have not found footing?
Yeah, it's the teams that haven't found footing. Also, because if you want to get in, how many times have we seen, Drake, when one of those teams who's in the first four get hot? I think every year except for one, that team, the 11 or 12 seed, I'm not talking about the 16 seeds who are also now dangerous, but the 11 or 12, they've won at least one game in the tournament every year except for one. And I think the 7-8 years, whatever it's been, that they've had the first four. Of course, it was kicked off by VCU, who went all the way to the Final Four. Yeah. So you look at a team like Kansas State, somebody like that. Yes, they win a couple games. You get into that play-in game, you can really get rolling. Tyler Perry can be like Jordan Crawford or Xavier years ago and have a magical run here. That sort of thing is what you want to look for. Those are the teams that I target that really need the wins.
Then Cincinnati and Kansas State, because those are the two that I circle. You'll get 9 teams in the Big 12 that likely get in. Texas, Oklahoma on the back end of that. We're talking Kansas State around that 10, Cincinnati the 11 range, though Net really doesn't like the Wildcats. Of those two teams, who are you more confident in to make a run in not just the Big 12 tournament, but March if they can get there?
Yeah, I think Cincinnati's beating West Virginia, so I'm already giving them one win here. And I give credit to Josh Eiler's impossible situation. They competed very well early, but they've struggled down the stretch. Yep. So Cincinnati's going to get that win. If Kansas State beats Texas, that's a quality win. I think both Cincinnati and Kansas State are in situations where they get 2 wins. They're in. Why? Cincinnati beats West Virginia, doesn't move the needle. Cincinnati beats Kansas. That moves the needle, and there's no reason they can't beat Baylor if they beat Kansas. Yeah. On the other hand, Kansas State beats Texas. That's a quality win. And then you beat Iowa State. that's going to put them in again as well. In fact, they just beat them in the Octagon of Doom. That would be the second one over Iowa State. That would lock it up. So those two teams need to take care of business in their first matchup. And then that second matchup, to me, is a playing game.
Mike, what you just did, what you just built here, which is a dream scenario, is an 11-team representation for the Big 12 in March Madness. Are you saying there is not just a chance, but a fighter's chance to have that happen?
Yes, I put it in every year. I look at the games, the two matchups there, the 11-12, I say which team is making a run. UCLA made a run to the Final Four a few years ago. They were losing to Michigan State in that game by 10. I am convinced that if the Spartans win that game, they're making the Final Four because you get hot with the matchups. People forget UCLA was barely in the tournament. They see Jaime Jaquez. They see all these great players. Folks, they were barely in the tournament. They were down double digits at the half. So yes, if the Big 12, as great as the conference is and as tough as this conference is, gets a team in there, watch out for the run.
Last but not least, Mike, for those teams that do not perform well in Kansas City, let's say a Houston loses in their first contest or an Iowa State, should they be worried? Is that enough to press the red button?
No, Houston is incredible. If Houston loses, it's going to be even though they've lost players like Tugler and Arsenault this year, that wouldn't bother me. They would end up losing potentially to Oklahoma, TCU. Fine, they're still a 1 seed. Iowa State, little concerned. If they can't get by Kansas State or Texas, I'd start to be a little worried because you've seen the teams that play their style, like Virginia, have great variance. They can get upset or they can make a run. So Iowa State going out early would make me concerned. They've played well at Hilton Magic. They've certainly won on the road. I think they have 4 wins on the road here in Big 12. But don't go out early. You got to get back to winning here. You lost to Kansas State. Could at least put some pressure on Houston, who blowtorched Kansas at home. But it could have made it interesting if they didn't lose that game earlier in the day. I'd worry about Iowa State a little. No concern with Houston.
You mentioned Iowa State, a team that I believe can go to the Final Four because of the defense, or could lose 59-41 in the round of 64, just like they did last year to Pitt. It is the variance that you hit the nail on the head with, Mike. If folks like the stuff that you brought to the show today, I sure did. Where can they find more of your work?
Come over to FTN Fantasy. Follow me on X at Randall Rand. I got my college basketball betting show 3 days a week. It's growing. We're going to be live after March Madness. Come join us. Jeff Ratcliffe is banging out reactions to all these NFL players that are getting signed today. It's the best time of year. So much excitement. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Mike Randall of FTN. Drake Toll here from Locked On Big 12. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Come back tomorrow. We'll break more down from the NCAA tournament coming up to the Big 12 tournament this week. And there are games tomorrow as 11 and 14, 12 and 13 kick it off in this conference. Once again, this has been, always will be, Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.